Welcome to Ignition Point, the channel for aspiring entrepreneurs. I'm Debbie Hart.
I'm Sean Finnegan. So we have Jeff Flamm. I'll introduce him as the guy I want to be when I grow up because he's in every aspect of his life, and he's so well balanced, the most balanced person I know, and I love and appreciate him. A few businesses, just to name a few. One, he's got a speed reading course that is crushing it, and that you have to make sure you take that course.
It's free.
It's free.
In the App Store.
Yes.
Infinite Mind Brain Exercise.
And how will reading affect children in school? Becoming good readers.
Reading's the number one factor for success, honestly, in how you learn and in business as well. I've seen that the best businessmen are the ones that read books all the time because it gives you ideas, it keeps you current. And when you're reading books, it stimulates, I should do that, I should do that. I think it's the key to leadership is to be a good reader.
I love it. And then he runs a Zenith Mastermind, which I've been to and been a part of. It is an incredible group of people. Did a pool party at his house this week. Had 100 people there, and they just didn't want to leave. You were expecting them to leave at some point, and they just stayed because they love being plugged into that.
At 11 o'clock, my wife starts shutting the lights off, right?
Time to go home. Well, what's the inspiration behind a mastermind? What would business owners get out of joining something like that?
What I've noticed, I've been in a lot of networking groups over the last 15 years, and what I noticed is they're really good about enhancing your business or 10xing your business. But I really didn't see anybody talking about the important things, what's really important, and that's the balance, that you're balancing and enjoying the journey along the way. Because look how many people you see that make a lot of money. Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, they go on and on. But they've lost their families along the way. So if you don't keep balance along the way, at some point, something else is going to pay if you're putting all your time into business. So ours is all about evaluating 6 areas of your life and making sure they're balanced. The ones that aren't, you set goals and work on them.
That's a beautiful concept. So you run multiple businesses. How do you personally find that balance?
The way I find the balance is if you find really competent people that run your businesses, you just need to meet with them once a week and ask the right questions. Keep them on task. If you're doing the work, you haven't got the right people below you. You're the visionary. You're the one to motivate them and decide the direction of the company and keep everybody moving that direction and make sure they're accountable. If you don't have those things in place, the return and report kind of concept, people only do what they're expected to do for the most part, and no more than what you're measuring or asking of them.
Unless you're an entrepreneur.
So if you're an entrepreneur, you're doing it all right. So you've got to find somebody else with that entrepreneurial spirit that will help do the work.
Run things for you. Yeah. So basically you started one at a time and then got it to the point where you could hand it off to someone else.
Got the right people on the bus.
Okay.
Got the right people. Some of my people have been with me 38 years. Long time.
Tell us about the spark for you. You've created so many different kind of businesses in your life. What was the thing
what made
that kind of started it for you?
Well, I came from a father who was entrepreneurial. He was in wealth management and financial planning, but he built mobile home parks and office buildings on the side, so I learned that kind of business from my dad. And I think most entrepreneurs have a dad that's entrepreneurial. Now, there are some exceptions to that, but you'll learn those principles from usually at home or somebody who's a real influence in your life, some mentor that you like. What I noticed is change in laws create opportunity. So you want to watch when the government changes some law, which they did back in the 70s. They created the HMO Act that said if there's an HMO in your area and you have more than 25 employees, you have to offer it. And it's health maintenance organization. So it's like IHC has one, Blue Cross has one. There's over 400 of them. So when they passed that law, all the companies were having to offer them and nobody knew what was good. So we built the first database in the country with all of them that I could tell you anything about them, match it against your employee home zips and tell you this plan can service 92% of your employees and this plan will only do 50%. So we had good data and what the average rates were and turnover of physicians and turnover of members. So good data. So we became a real data management company. And then we sold it 10 years later when we were managing the benefits for 23 million people. We sold it to ADP. So it's now ADP Benefit Services.
Wow. So you also have a company that sources turmeric and ginger from Peru.
Right.
What was the inspiration behind starting that?
Well, I met a young guy who had started it 3 years before and taken it to $6 million. And he just needed money and mentor to help him grow it. So I started doing that. And it's a principle I knew and I've taught, but I didn't follow it myself. Once you invest in something, you have to decide where's the end point. because at some point, if they keep needing money, they always come back to the trough for more money, right? And you have to decide at what point do you quit. And it was growing. In a growing company, you can fund it because you're paying for everything up front and you get paid after by the buyers, like 90 days after. So it's a cash flow issue. So I kept putting money in. Pretty soon I found out I was the major owner of the company. So it wasn't by plan, but it's an exciting business because it's growing 25% a year.
And that's primarily out of Peru is where it comes
All the
from?
shipping is out of Peru.
Okay.
Yeah.
So some of them were sparked interest in childhood, and some of them were just opportunities, and you opened the door.
Right.
What advice would you have for entrepreneurs that because you have all sorts of, you're a magnet for opportunities. Like does opportunity knock once or how does that work?
Yeah, you always hear that saying, opportunity only knocks once, so you got to be ready. If you're prepared and you're a good leader and you've got the skills and financial resources, it knocks every day. I have people hitting me up every day for investments or loans or whatever that are in business, and you have to look through those and see. Now, the best advice I was given by Bill Child, who's one of my partners, he sold R.C. Willey to Berkshire Hathaway, and Warren Buffett said to him, I'm going to give you a tip. I only invest in companies that are proven, they're here to stay. So when Gillette had some competition come out with electric razors, they believed I get a better shave with a blade than electric. So blades aren't going to go away, but their stock went way down. So Warren bought a lot of it. When Coke came out with new Coke and it was a bomb and Coke's stock plummeted by 40%, he went and bought a big share of Coke. When Geico had problems, he bought a bunch of Geico. He buys it low and then sells it when it's high. So Warren Buffett started with no money of his own and became a billionaire multiple times, right? And he gave Bill Child the advice. He said, I never read a business plan I didn't like. They all sounded good. They talk about the opportunity out there.
Designed that way, right?
Yeah. This is a $3 billion market, and if we can get 1% of it, we're doing so many $1 million. But what you find is only 1 out of 10 is here in 10 years. Startups. And out of those, in 10 more years, only 1 out of 10 is really ever gone anywhere. So 1 out of 100 becomes big. And if you think about it in Utah and start looking at all the companies who have become mega companies, there's not that many compared to how many startups there are, right? You have to be smart when you're investing and really know that there's some high risk when you invest in a startup. A lot of my friends have made money as real estate, and I've made a lot of money there as well because it's a pretty stable asset and it's growing, especially in Utah. It's always a good part of your portfolio is to have some real estate.
I will definitely agree with that.
Yeah, Debbie's the expert.
So what is the biggest failure that you have faced in business, and how did you get over it and keep going?
The biggest one was I invested in a restaurant, a sports grill, and it was called Skybox. And I was one of the first investors, so I signed on the lease and so on. And it never made money. And again, when things aren't making money, no one wants to invest. So you have to decide at what point do you cut bait. That's why I said I should have learned this a long time ago, right? Because I put a lot of money into that and never made money. But we enjoyed it. And everybody that went to Skybox loved it down in the Gateway. It was fun. And we'd go every Monday for family night. We'd take our family down, play games, and eat. So we called it our expensive family hobby.
Per hour. That was very costly.
Very expensive hobby.
What closing remarks would you have for someone? Let's say they're looking to start a business or they're just newly, started a business.
I would say a couple things. First of all, the first tendency is anybody who accepts your concept or likes it, you want to hire. You want them to be a partner. So you bring on people who really don't have the talents and the skills to really take you where you need to go. So I say you have to decide who is the antithesis of you. Who's the opposite of you? If you're really good at sales, who's good at detail and bookkeeping? You've got to find a partner who's really good at the things you're not good at. And then go out and find the very best one. Because if you just get somebody that believes in you and they're not really skilled, it outgrows them really soon or the company just doesn't make it. So find the right people up front, I would say is the first. The second advice I give people is contracts are so important. People have some neighbor or attorney in their church write up the contract for them. I say find the very best, and then I pay a second attorney 1 hour, $400, whatever, and I say I want you to review this as if you're the opposition and tell me where it has holes in it. And so on any important contract, I have it reviewed by a second group, and they always make it better. So I have really ironclad contracts.
Wow, very good advice.
We got to ask, how do you get the free course on the speed reading?
Okay, Infinite Mind Brain Exercises in the App Store.
And we'll make sure we're
It's
linking
free,
that, right?
7 minutes a day. And if you'll read the reviews on it, there's close to 100 reviews. It's only been out a few months, but we have 10,000 users, and all the reviews are 5-star. And when you read them, people will tell you how life changer. Those that are using it, it's a life changer. It'll make kids go from the worst kid in the class to the top almost every time. And for my kids, it helped them get high on the ACT, and then all of them in the 700s on the GMAT. They could name their schools. 2 of my boys went to Oxford because they could. So reading is key. I've had it for 21 years. We've had over 2 million users, but I built it free during COVID because too many kids are getting behind in reading, and they're suffering in every subject because of that. So now there's no reason people can't become a great reader.
Wow, I love that. Thank you.
And look up Zenith Mastermind on Facebook as well. A lot of really good content and great people.
Good people.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks, Debbie and
Thanks,
Sean.
Yeah, appreciate
Great to
it.
be with you.
Yeah, thank you.
If any of you watching today have any doubts that your current CPA is not helping you take 100% advantage of the deductions you deserve and helping you stay compliant with the IRS, then don't hesitate to get involved with TaxHive today. You won't be disappointed.